Welcome to Origins and Outcomes. My name is Andrew Wooster. Today's book is The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. And the way I discovered this book is when I got out of high school, there's a lot of things that became clear to me, but one of the things was there's a lot of books, a lot of literature that I wasn't introduced in high school that I really felt I needed to know. And so that forced me to go to libraries, especially during summer reading time, and kind of see what was recommended, see what books were on the list. And I found this on one of the AP English lists. So I picked it up. No real specific reason other than it was part of the pantheon of books that I needed to kind of understand and read. And when I started reading it, it became clear that it was really good that I read How to Be Good by Nick Hornby first. But what that did for me was kind of show me how to create the different emotional characters and the feeling of the story. Unbearable Lightness of Being took that, but then it also gave the element of the philosophy behind that and kind of trying to figure out in the story the emotions. Instead of just having the emotions present, it kind of analyzed it and it kind of looked at it on a couple different narrative levels. So the way the story goes is a story, but it's also like reading like Nietzsche. It has that philosophy tint to it as well. And the structure is very different too, which was a little offsetting for me at first. But then I thought of, reading Naked Lunch and the way that story structure kind of confused me at first. So really, Unbearable Lightness of Being, when I read it, it fit where I was as a reader, as a person, and as kind of a perspective on the world too. It's basically a story of a doctor who's in love with one woman but has the nature of a womanizer and has a girlfriend as well. And it's kind of like this evolved notion of love, but it also kind of plays into the hand of what happens when people you're involved with aren't at the same level of that or don't want that to be part of their lives. And how do you kind of figure out your feelings and wanting to not hurt people, but still having your be true to yourself. And in this story, the main character is true to himself almost to a fault. And it goes through different variations and trying to figure out him as well. But that's kind of comes clear. And that was something in my own life as well, that you kind of, when you want something, you kind of deny who you are, I find. It is something that I did, and it's something this character didn't really do. He wanted what he wanted, and he knew how to get what he wanted, and he figured everyone else would accept that, or it didn't really matter. As much as he would have missed or cared about it, there was kind of this detachment from everyone else into himself that I took from it that really was compelling. It was a story that you could, like I said, it's like reading Nietzsche. You could read that, and not only did you feel the emotions, but it made you think about the emotions too, and make you analyze it, and it kind of like, okay, well, I guess this makes sense. I guess I understand that point of view, and kind of in a way that How to Be Good didn't. It kind of threw something on the wall. It made one kind of idea of a character. This gave you the idea of a character, but then spent pages talking about it and thinking about why this character was and what was part of his dilemmas and his thought process through everything. So it's kind of a different slant. But again, if I hadn't read Naked Lunch, if I hadn't read How to Be Good, or reading Unbearable Lightness of Being, which I would say easily is a top five favorite book for me as well, then I would be in a totally different place. And I'm really glad I read it when I did, because if I didn't, if I read it, 4 years earlier, my whole thought process on it would be different. My whole enjoyment would be different. I probably would have understood it all. I probably would have thought it was a dirty, disgusting, immoral novel. And when I read it when I did, I felt connected to it. I felt smarter because of it. And it made me want to find people who read it as well to kind of have a discussion about it, because it really kind of got inside me and really made me think of how to view love, how to view relationships of all different kinds, and how to view your own selfishness as well, which is something that I struggled with then, I still struggle with now. How to, take care of yourself and be who you want to be, but still live in a society, in a community, and be around people that you find attractive or interesting. How do you all fit that in with still being true to yourself and protecting yourself and having your what you also desire inside yourself come through, and how do you find those right people, and how do you relate and interact with people that might not quite, gel with that concept and those ideas as well. So that was one of the first ones from the reading list that I started reading, and it led me in many different directions, but this was certainly by far the highlight of the dozens of books I read from summer reading list. And again, it's Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera.